There's this feeling in the air, isn't there? Kind of feels like history itself is speeding up, like the pages of the story are just turning faster and faster. If you felt that, believe me, you are not alone. I mean, really, have you felt it? That little nudge in the back of your mind when you look at the world? That sense that something big is shifting just under the surface? You see it every day in the headlines, right? You hear about conflicts flaring up in one place, and then these old, deep tensions just reigniting somewhere else. And it's not just between countries, is it? Feels like people are being pitted against each other everywhere, drawing these hard lines between neighbors, in our communities, sometimes even in our own families.
And all of this, it just creates this powerful undercurrent of anxiety. It's a real fear, and it spreads so quietly, often hiding right under the surface of our normal, busy lives.
So, of course, that leads to the big question. When you look at everything going on, it's just so easy to wonder, is this it? Are we in the final season of the story? If you've asked that, you are definitely in good company.
And so what do? We start searching for answers. We try to decode the calendar, we look for timelines, we try to identify which political leader fits which description, or we hunt for some kind of hidden prophecy. Really anything to help us make sense of it all. It's such a natural human thing to do when we feel uncertain. But here's the thing. This urge to decode our times, it's not new at all. In fact, if you look back, this pattern repeats all throughout history. In just about every generation, sincere believers have thought, we are the final one. In every century, some powerful leader gets labeled as a figure from prophecy. And just like today, specific dates get circled on the calendar as the day. But right in the middle of all our human speculation, Jesus says something that just cuts through all the noise. No one knows the day or the hour. Think about that. Not the angels, not the most brilliant scholars, and nope, not even the most convincing watchmen on YouTube. No one. Now, a lot of this urgency, it comes from a phrase in the book of Revelation called Satan's little season. And it describes this short but really intense period of evil. And it sounds mysterious and, let's be honest, pretty terrifying. That's why so many of us feel like we have to know exactly when it starts and when it's going to end. Okay, but this is where we need a really crucial shift in our perspective. It is so easy to focus on Satan's freedom, on trying to find the Antichrist, or on decoding politicians. But the Bible, it points our focus somewhere else entirely. It points to Christ's reign, to fixing our eyes on Him. You see, the story isn't ultimately about the adversary. It starts and it ends with the King on the throne. So what does that mean? It means prophecy was never meant to turn us all into political decoders or expert timeline trackers. It was given to us as an anchor, so that we could endure whatever comes our way with a hope that absolutely cannot be shaken. And this leads us to an even deeper truth. The most urgent crisis, it's not some political timeline playing out on the world stage. It's the condition of the human heart. And that is a crisis that affects every single one of us, right here, right now. So what is this crisis in our hearts? Well, it's a personal separation. The simple, honest truth is that every one of us has, at some point, chosen our own way over God's. We've all drifted. And just like in any relationship, when love is rejected, it creates distance. That separation is real and it's deeply personal for all of us. And this might be the most important point in this whole explainer. When you step back and look at the entire story of the Bible, from page 1 to the very end, you find God's heart. And His ultimate goal isn't to terrify us with timelines of doom, it's to rescue us from that very separation. And God made the path to that rescue so clear. It starts at the cross, where Jesus took on the justice that we deserved. Then it leads to the empty tomb, which is the proof that He defeated death and opened the way home. And it continues today with this ongoing invitation, because He still stands at the door and knocks. So what does this all mean for you and me today? Well, the Bible's call on our lives is actually pretty straightforward. It's a call to readiness, not to endless speculation. It's a call to faithfulness in our daily lives, not a life paralyzed by fear. And it's a call to a solid, grounded hope, not just getting swept up in the latest internet hype. And that leads us right to the core insight, the piece of insider knowledge that so many people miss while they're looking for clues. The specific timeline of what's going to happen is so much less important than the state of your relationship with the King who is in charge of that timeline. It really just comes down to a choice between two ways to live. We can spend all our energy trying to map out every single event perfectly,
and in the end, still completely miss the king who holds the map. Or we can choose to know the king and trust that he'll lead us safely through whatever the map holds.
So if you feel anxious about the future, please hear this. God is not surprised by any of this. From his perspective, history isn't just spiraling out of control. It is moving with absolute purpose toward a final restoration, a kingdom where everything sad comes untrue and all things are finally made new.
Look, Satan's little season is temporary. Christ's reign is eternal. And so the ultimate question isn't, are we in the final season? The real question, the one that matters for each of us, is this: do you know the king who rules the final kingdom?